Elizabeth Lyon wasn't always a runner, but when she discovered her passion for it, she realized that the sky was the limit. Getting involved in marathons was something that expressed her dedication and inspired her to cross that finish line.
You know, inspiration just abounds at a marathon, any marathon. I mean, I've run marathons with as few as 50 runners, and then of course those with 25,000 runners. But just tackling that feat in and of itself is pretty inspirational. But you know, you cross the finish line and you realize you've done something profound, and it's life-altering. It really is.
But it was in 2002 when Elizabeth was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
The very first thing I did upon hearing that diagnosis was I went for a run. It was just almost intuitive. It was the only thing I knew to do. And that also was very symbolic, because that told me, you know, my life was going on and I was still a runner, and I was going to run with MS. And I mean, I can't say that I haven't had my moments, but I tend not to dwell on things that I can't change, and I cannot change this. It is not going away. There is no cure, and I can grasp my running as best I can in light of this, or I can shut down, and there's only one choice.
Shortly after her diagnosis, her husband Mick Lyon, the head coach of the women's soccer team at IU, was also diagnosed with MS.
And he was diagnosed in 2004, 18 months after I was. His onset was immediate and unexpected. He was over in England, his home country, and he was recruiting. But he went running one day while he was there, and the next day he woke up and attempted to get out of bed and fell to the floor. I mean, that's how quickly and immediately it hit him. His MS has been harder for me than my own, even though I understand the disease, of course, intimately. When it's someone you love, but you can't do anything about it, you've lost control. You know, you've lost my power, my ability to make a difference, and you just have to stand back and watch it happen. With my own disease, I just have this sixth sense that I'm going to be okay, and I know that I'm going to do any and everything I can to sustain my health and my mobility, and I just do think I'm going to be okay. But when it's him, that has to come from him. It can't come from me, and that's been more difficult. It's been more challenging to watch it attack him.
Shortly after, Lyon was contacted to be one of the National MS Lifeline ambassadors to share her story with others.
So I finally took her call, and she asked me if I wanted to fly to Boston and be a national ambassador, and my hotel would be paid for, my flight. I mean, this was just like almost too good to be true. Well, you know, what is the catch? What's going on here? And so I made a kind of a sarcastic type comment, and I said, "Oh, you mean I'd be a famous person kind of like Terry Garr, who's an actress with MS?" And she said, "Well, actually, yes, Terry is one of our ambassadors, and she would be training you." Well, of course, immediately I'm like, book my ticket, I'm going to Boston. And I speak to big groups and small groups, and you know, cosmopolitan areas and rural areas, and it really doesn't matter, because the disease is the same, and the people with the disease doesn't matter where we are.
Today, Lyon runs with the mentality that MS is really going to have to keep up with her, because it's something she won't let slow her down.
What I put into it, I get out of it, and you don't really race against anyone else. Especially running a marathon, you race against yourself, and what's the best set of legs you can bring to the table. You know, I'm no different than you. You know, I woke up with 24 hours today, and so did you. And I have MS and you don't, but we each have 24 hours, and we each decide what are we going to do in these 24 hours. And obviously you pack your life chock full of as much as you can by virtue of your projects and your class participation and this interview. I do the same. And if I don't get a chance to do it tomorrow, I'm glad I did it today. I don't waste time. I don't pout. I don't cry. I don't stew about things that I can't change and I can't control. You know, things that used to be devastating to me, now I kind of laugh about, because it's like, if that's my biggest problem of the day, my life's pretty good.
In Bloomington at Yeagley Field, I'm Katie Spencer, Hoosier Sports Night.